Good evening and welcome back. Let's get this evening going. I would like to call to the podium now Dan Hartman. Dan is the Executive Director for the Duluth Entertainment Convention Center and current committee member of the DECC Athletic Hall of Fame. Dan Hartman.
Hello, everyone, and first off, I want to say welcome to the DECC. We were great to host you as we have many times in the past for this event, and I always want to say every time I come up here, I will say I feel a little weird, and that's because I am not an athlete. I golfed today, and I may have broke 100 on 9 holes, and so that's just about how that goes. But that being said, today we have something a little bit different this year. You probably see it on the program that the net proceeds from this event actually go to the Montgomery Sports Foundation. And if you're not familiar with that, it's actually a newly formed organization here in town where they raise money just to make sure kids can play sports in town. And so just last year, they were able to register 229 kids to play sports that weren't able to play otherwise. And so it's just a great local thing we have in town. So now I will say I have a little bit of a bias. I have 4 kids under 15. And so I'm happy to be here tonight, but I would probably be on a soccer field or a softball field or some other type of field if that would be the case otherwise. I think I just drove to Kansas City for 9 hours for one soccer game, which is crazy. But that's the world we live in. So otherwise, thank you for coming tonight again, and it's just an honor to see the honorees that are here tonight. You really do make our region proud, and it's just an example of the athleticism that is here in our town is far surpassing what people even realize sometimes. So as one of the committee members going through this list, it was just like, oh my goodness, this is insane. So just thank you for what you've achieved and the fame you brought to our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, for your continued work and support of this incredible Hall of Fame. Much appreciated. A quick shout out of thank you to the corporate sponsors making tonight's 29th induction ceremony possible. Lion Group, Holiday Inn and Suites, The Lyric, Duluth News Tribune, UMB Athletics, Grandma's Saloon Grill, General & Company Jewelry, and the Duluth Entertainment Convention Center. We thank you and applaud your investment. Before we meet our Hall of Fame inductees, I'd like to also acknowledge the 2026 DECC Athletic Hall of Fame committee members. Please stand and let us all thank them at the end after I announce the final member. Committee co-chair, myself, and Dan Russell. Dan is the past executive director of the DECC. John Goldfein, Duluth entrepreneur. Dan Hartman, DECC executive director. Denise Holm-Olson, local athletic legend, representative from Twin Ports Paper and Supply. Rick Lovers, executive editor of the Duluth News Tribune. Scott Lyons, retired chief of police, owner of Lyons Security Consultant. Kevin Pates, retired sports with the Duluth News Tribune. Jeff Stark, president and CEO of Duluth Heritage. And Anna Tansky, owner of Tansky Consulting. Please stand, and thank you. Thank you for your work and selection of an outstanding class. Also, I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge our past DECC Hall of Fame inductees in attendance tonight. Pat Francisco was here and just left. Scott Keenan inducted last year. Scott Keenan, Grandma's Marathon. 50 years, Scott. It's incredible. And my great friend in life and wife, Karen Strummy. Longtime UMD basketball coach. The presentation of the Hall of Fame Awards tonight will be presented by the ownership team of General & Company Jewelry. Andrew and Kyle General. General & Company produced the awards that our inductees will receive. Andrew, Kyle, please stand. Thank you much, greatly appreciated. And now, 29th DECC Athletic Hall of Fame inductees for the class of 2026. She graduated from the South Shore School System in Port Wing, Wisconsin, where she became one of the most decorated prep basketball players in state history, while setting the state record for career scoring leading the Cardinals to an impressive 89-12 win-loss record for 4 years and multiple state tournament appearances. She followed that up with a stellar career at the University of Wisconsin as the most prolific scorer in the program's history, while earning the Big Ten Freshman of the Year honor, Big Ten First Team All-Conference honors, and eventually the Big Ten Player of the Year honor. She also was named the Naismith Award recipient after her senior season with the Badgers as the nation's top basketball player. During her collegiate career, she also represented the United States internationally, winning a gold medal for Team USA at the 2005 FIBA World Cup. She was selected as the 23rd player overall during the 2008 WNBA draft by the Connecticut Sun, where she began a 17-year professional career playing basketball in the WNBA and overseas. Ladies and gentlemen, class of 2026, DECC Athletic Hall of Fame member and the pride of the South Shore, Jolene Anderson.
Good evening. I am truly honored and humbled to stand before you tonight as I'm inducted into the DECC Athletic Hall of Fame. To be recognized in this way is something I never imagined when I first began this long, crazy basketball journey. When people see an accomplishment like this, they often see the final result. What they don't always see are the countless hours, early mornings, late nights, challenges, setbacks, and sacrifices that happen along the way. They don't see all the people who helped make this moment possible. Tonight, while my name may be the only one being recognized, this honor belongs to so many others as well. I want to say thank you to my family. Throughout my career, you have been my biggest supporters, my strongest encouragers, and my foundation through every success and every obstacle. There were times when I doubted myself, times when things didn't go as planned, and times when the road ahead seemed difficult. Through it all, you never stopped believing in me. To my parents, thank you for teaching me the values of hard work, determination, and perseverance. You showed me what commitment looks like and encouraged me to pursue my goals no matter how challenging they seemed or how many doubters I had. To my sisters, thank you for always being in my corner, whether it was offering encouragement, celebrating accomplishments, listening when things were difficult, or simply reminding me to keep going. Your support has always meant more to me. I would also like to thank my aunts, uncles, and cousins. Families often support us in ways they don't even realize. Through your conversations, attendance at games, messages, phone calls, and constant interest in my journey, you helped motivate me to keep striving for excellence. Being inducted into this Hall of Fame is not just a reflection of achievement. For me, it is a reminder of the relationships, lessons, and lifelong experiences that made this journey worthwhile. It reminds me that success is never achieved alone. As I accept this honor tonight, I do so with tremendous gratitude. Gratitude for the opportunities I have been given and for the people who always believe in me. Thank you again.
Born and raised in Duluth, he was an outstanding multi-sport athlete before graduating from Denfeld High School. He went on to compete collegiately for 4 years at Augustana College, where he was an all-conference performer in both football and track and field. In 2016, he was signed as a National Football League undrafted free agent with the Minnesota Vikings. He recently retired, completing a 10-year NFL career with the Vikings that was highlighted by 2 Pro Bowl selections and represented the organization as the prestigious Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year nominee in 2024 and 2025. He played in 141 games for the Vikings as a valuable fullback and special teams performer. His career has been likened to a Swiss Army knife for the Vikings offense and special teams unit. He was a core special team, served on the kickoff, kick return, punt, and punt return phases. As a professional athlete, his football abilities were respected and admired. His accolades are well documented. What has truly made him incredibly special is his work as a mentor, educator, volunteer, and community leader. His charity work has taken place at venues such as the Boys and Girls Club, church groups, Habitat for Humanity, or youth football camps. Notably, he uses his sports activities to build character and citizenship, which has become so especially important for the well-being of the youth in various communities around the Twin Cities, and in particular, Duluth. Without a doubt, I'm sure he will agree that this youth work has been his greatest sport achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, class of 2026, DECC Athletic Hall of Fame member and the pride of Duluth, C.J. Ham.
Wow. First off, just thank you guys. Thank you for being here. I will try to be brief. Doing this speech is not really my thing, so I appreciate you guys. But really just extremely thankful. Just humbled to be here. I mean, to even be mentioned in this group of Hall of Fame inductees is super, super special. I mean, we have gold medal winners, community legends, trailblazers in women's sports and women's broadcasting. So, like, to be honest, like, what I did doesn't even compare to what many of these other inductees have done in their communities and in their respective sports. So, congrats to everybody. And I'm again just humble to be here. First, I just want to say thank you to my family. My entire life, you have been by my side, supported me, and just helped me chase all my dreams. To my wife, Steph, you mean everything to me. I would not be the man I am today if it wasn't for you supporting me over these last 10 years. Thank you. As Coach G would say, that's my queen right there. That's my queen. You steal that, Coach. Appreciate it. Next, I just want to say thank you to Duluth. This community is a big reason why I am who I am. You know, through the journey, I felt so much love every step of the way. Making this city proud has always been very high on my priority list. And from all the coaches and people who have played a special role in my life, thank you. And I hope I made you proud. Coach Scott. And lastly, wouldn't be right if I left from up here without thanking God. I wouldn't be standing here without his overwhelming grace in my life. And I'm just thankful he, for some reason, used me and my family to make an impact and bring glory to his kingdom. So God bless you guys. Thank you.
The next inductee was raised in Duluth and grew up on the rinks of Glen Avon Hockey, the Duluth Curling Club, and the fairways of Ridgeview Country Club. He was a prep student athlete at Duluth East High School. In hockey, he was an all-state performer that helped the Greyhounds capture state hockey championship in 1960. And in golf, he finished third in the 1961 state high school tournament. Following high school, he competed at Colorado College, where he was a hockey All-American and the leading scorer for CC during the 1964-65 season. He also was the leading point winner on the golf team at Colorado College while qualifying to play in 2 NCAA Division I golf championships. Returning to Duluth, he won local amateur golf tournaments multiple times, which included championships at the Northland Invitational, the Arrowhead Invitational, the Hibbing Tournament, and then the Maggie Tournament. Over a span of 40 years, he skipped multiple Duluth Curling Club teams that won numerous championships in Minnesota and Wisconsin. As a local attorney, he has been instrumental in fostering the legal relationship between the DECC and the Duluth Curling Club, including the initial funding for Pioneer Hall, as well as negotiating and drafting naming rights agreements for Amsoil Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome class of 2026 DECC Athletic Hall of Fame member, the godfather of the Duluth Curling Club, Robert H. McGee III.
Good evening. I think I would want to start by acknowledging the help that I received from my parents, and certainly the help I received from my family. My daughter Jerry is here from New York City. She could stand. Very nice of her to give away those courtside seats in the garden for this coming week. My wife Marilyn is here. It's our 55th anniversary today, if you can believe it. No, I haven't always been in her Hall of Fame, but I am tonight. I got notified of this a few weeks ago, and I had a chat with Marilyn, and I said, you know, they asked you to say a few words. I don't know. What am I supposed to talk about? She says, well, you can start by talking about some hockey. I said, I can't do that. Phil Verchota's on the program. I'd be embarrassed. She said, well, you can talk about golf. I said, when I was playing good golf, the only guy in the audience that's going to remember it is Toby Markovich. So what chance have I got there? She said, well, that leaves curling. And I said, that isn't going to work either. Because Bob Nichols is going to be there, and so is Tyler George. These guys are world and Olympic champions. So we settled on maybe talking a bit about the deck. And it's true enough that I have done a lot of things in connection with the deck and the intersection between curling, hockey, the deck, the city of Duluth, etc. It's been an enormous experience. We've done a lot of good things. This Duluth is unbelievably lucky to have this facility, and it didn't have to be. There's a lot of lucky things that fell into place. Starting with, believe it or not, when Robert Freiberg Sr. put artificial ice into the Duluth Curling Club complex on 14th Avenue East. In connection for that, he didn't ask to get repaid. What he got was hours of ice time for Duluth amateur hockey. And from there, we went to, ultimately in 1966, the DECC, original DECC. From there, we back up some. When I came back to Duluth from the service, 1970, we had a situation where the hockey was at the DECC. The curling was on 14th Avenue East. We had an old decrepit building. The city had agreed to maintain it, but they were very close to reneging on that idea, and nobody really could blame them. Frank Beffer was here to help, and we wound up with some litigation with the city, not acrimonious, but we had to do something. Gino Clergy became involved. There was funding, get this, from the Nixon administration. Now, Gino was not a fan of George Miller. And so Gino started a organization called Democrats for Nixon. I'm serious. And the payoff for that was a grant that funded most of North and South Pioneer Hall. However, we did not have enough money to furnish the Duluth Curling Club. And we had to do something about that building, i.e. sell it. Only one buyer for that building was the State Highway Department. Turned out that the Commissioner of Highways, that's what he was called in those days, was Frank Marzatelli from Hibbing. And Frank Marzatelli saw clear to taking that building in condemnation. Jim Claypool, who maybe you all remember, had lent us $500,000. We got that paid off. We got the curling club equipped with furnishings that we needed. And from then on, there have been a lot of transactions between the DECC and the curling club. I've had a great pleasure in dealing with Dan Russell and Dan Hartman. They're gentlemen. They're totally honest. And they have had the future of curling in Duluth always in their mind. And I think we've had a successful partnership. It's going to continue, I think, successfully, hopefully. And that's one of the great things about this facility is that it's meant, is people have said so much to the city in so many ways. So, having said that, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank the folks that saw fit to, how did Yogi say it, make this night necessary. And thank you very much.
She was born and raised in Duluth and a graduate of Duluth Central High School. She competed in basketball, swimming, and track, both in high school and collegiately, but built her celebrity career as a sports journalist, broadcaster, and television host. As a woman in sports broadcasting, she helped pave the way for others in a traditionally male-dominated field. She became the first female sports anchor for the NBC affiliate in Houston, Texas, where her career skyrocketed. She was the first female reporter for the NBA's Houston Rockets organization, where she became their studio host and sideline reporter. She gained national and international attention when she was brought on as the first female co-host of the television competition show American Gladiators. In the summer of 1997, she was hired as a sideline reporter for the first season of the WNBA, where she joined the first all-female broadcasting team assembled for the league's national broadcast on NBC. After almost 20 years of television, including stints with NBC and Fox Sports as a sideline reporter for football, she moved to a new venture in the formation of her own production company. Ladies and gentlemen, add another first to her list tonight. She now becomes the first daughter to follow her father into this prestigious Hall of Fame of Northland sport greats. She will join her late father for inclusion into the DECC Athletic Hall of Fame, Jim Miloski Sr., a 2003 inductee who led the UMD football program for over 40 years. Please help me welcome class of 2026 DECC Athletic Hall of Fame member, Lisa Miloski.
After that introduction, I think I'll have to say is thank you, see you later. Thank you, Gary. And to my fellow honorees, congratulations. It's a thrill to be here and share this stage with all of you. Standing here tonight is deeply meaningful to me, not only as a former broadcaster, but as a proud daughter of Duluth, Minnesota. When I first learned I would be inducted into the Hall of Fame, next to my dad, my first thought was, of course, of my dad, Jim Miloski Sr. Being part of the first father-daughter combination in this hall is truly one of the greatest honors of my life, so thank you for that. Growing up in Duluth shaped everything about who I am. Chester Park Elementary, Woodland Junior High, Duluth Central, and First Lutheran Church. To add that moment. This community taught me to work hard, to stay humble, and to keep showing up even when the odds say you shouldn't. I learned those lessons watching my father coach for 40 years, watching my mother, Lila, support our family with strength and grace, and through the incredible people who make this city so incredibly special. I have to say a word here about my 95-year-old mother, Lila, who's in the audience. Most people in here who've been around Duluth know who my mom is. She was the glue that held it all together in our family, as you can well imagine. She came to all of our games. There were 4 of us, and we were all involved in at least 3 sports. I'm the oldest. Yes, I am. Linda, my sister, who you may have seen tonight. This afternoon, I said, I just can't do this. I crawled into bed, and they said, Linda, put on my outfit, take the script. They'll never know the difference. She looks just like me. Anyway, Linda's the second. And then my brother Jim was the real athletic standout. He set records as a UMD quarterback, tried out for the Dallas Cowboys, and then coached with my dad at UMD as the offensive coordinator for 15 years. Tammy is the youngest. She lives in Oslo, Norway with her husband and their 2 kids, which is why she's not here tonight. So Mom was more than busy with the 4 of us, but then on weekends, she added 2 additional kids. That would be Karen and David Strummy. On Saturdays during football season, we drove to every away game, so Karen and David joined us, so Mom would load us all into green paneled Ford station wagon. I think it was the Country Squire. Along with about 4 bags of candy, and about a mile in, she'd start throwing them back. Snickers and Tootsie Pops and caramels for Lila. So we had a great time. When I think about what shaped me, I think about how lucky I was to have grown up at a time when young women were being encouraged to be involved with sports. I was on the swim team, played basketball, ran track, also badminton. I think they mentioned that. That's kind of an inside joke. Anyway, I did it all through junior high and high school. Then I followed Karen Strumming to St. Olaf, and I played basketball there. And I want to give a shout out to two of my teammates who drove up from Minneapolis, Susie and Rennie, who came in to support me tonight. So thank you, ya to the Olies. I remember, who would have thought that my time as a Division III basketball player would have played such an important role in my career. I remember being on the stage when the Houston Comets won the very first WNBA championship in 1997. And there were a couple of us, I was there for NBC, and I was supposed to hand out the trophy. And I remember standing there thinking, I'm surrounded by all these strong females. Some of us former ball players, myself and WNBA Commissioner Val Ackerman, who had played at the University of Virginia, and then all these Houston Comets players who had played in college or overseas, like Jolene did for many years. And I thought, who could ever have dreamed of this? What a gift and what a moment. So it was amazing. And I never entered broadcasting with the goal of being the first. I simply followed my passion for storytelling and sports. That WNBA season Gary mentioned, I was part of NBC's first all-female broadcast team. Hannah Storm, who's still in broadcasting, was the play-by-play. Annie Myers-Drysdale, who was a standout at UCLA, and tried out for the Indiana Pacers, the only woman to ever do so, was long before the WNBA. She was the color commentator. Lisa Molosky from St. Olaf College was the sideline reporter, and Lisa Lax, another woman, was in the truck, and she was actually a former Division I lacrosse player. Along the way, as Gary mentioned, I was the first female sports anchor at KSD Minneapolis and at KBRC in Houston, and then the American Gladiator show. What I've learned through every chapter is this: the title matters far less than the purpose behind the book. And for me, the purpose has always been storytelling. I want to thank my husband of 32, almost 33 years, Don Fidel. Don is not only an extraordinary cameraman, one of the best in the country, actually. He's my partner in every sense of the word. We've shared decades in this business, built a company we love, and raised two incredible sons. Son Dylan, 26, who made the trip from Houston tonight. University of St. Thomas, don't hold it against him. University of St. Thomas grad, former lacrosse player, 2 national championships there. And Luke, 24, a recent grad of the University of Minnesota, Duluth. Yes, environmental and outdoor education degree, the first and possibly only Molosky grandchild to become a Bulldog alum. So go Luke and go Dogs. To my family and friends in Duluth, thank you so very much. No matter where my career took me, Duluth has always been home. We, my immediate family, have spent every summer and Christmas since the boys were born right here in Duluth. And there's something about Lake Superior, the hills, the people, and the spirit of this community that never leave you. I still smile thinking about running with my 3 Duluth Central High School teammates, Karen Strumming, Anna Olson-McGee, who is joining me tonight, and my sister, Linda. We competed together on the track team, mile relay, but we've run together, now we're walking, to stay in shape and stay sane for the last 50 years, and that's pretty cool. Duluth prepared me for life, teaching me endurance, perspective, and gratitude. And tonight, I accept this honor with enormous appreciation and humility. To be recognized in the city that raised me, in a Hall of Fame connected to my father's legacy, is something I will treasure forever. Thank you to the DECC, to this community, and to everyone who has been part of my journey, including Darren Danielson, who's here tonight. I'm sure you all know him, former WDIO anchor. We worked together at Channel 3 in Duluth 35 years ago. We didn't work together long enough. You know, Darren, we wish we would have had more time together, but I appreciate you, Darren. And to my dad and brother Jim, I know they're smiling and watching from above. So thank you, everybody. It really means a lot.
Tonight's final inductee was on the ice in the 1980 Olympics that produced one of the most famous calls in sport broadcasting history when announcer Al Michaels shouted, "Do you believe in miracles?" But before that, he was a multi-sport standout at Duluth East High School, where he was recruited to the University of Minnesota for both football and hockey. He opted to focus on hockey while competing for the Gophers. Following his freshman season, he was drafted by the Minnesota North Stars in the NHL, but decided to continue and finish his collegiate playing career with the Gophers, winning 2 NCAA hockey national championships in 1976 and 1979. He then followed his college mentor, Coach Herb Brooks, and joined him on the 1980 USA Olympic hockey team, a team that defeated the Soviet Union in the famed Miracle on Ice game and put the U.S. on the path to winning the gold medal in the final game. The event is remembered as one of the greatest moments in sports history, inspiring documentaries and movies, cementing its place in American culture. 4 years later, he captained the hockey squad in the 1984 Olympic Games. Ladies and gentlemen, please acknowledge class of 2026 DECC Athletic Hall of Fame member, Olympic gold medal winner, Phil Verchota.
Lisa, that was a fantastic job. I don't know how I'm going to follow any of that. I know why you were an all-star in the industry that you chose. Anyway, I like getting up and speaking to people about as much fun as getting hit in the face with a puck. Which happened, by the way, in the Stanley Cup playoffs. No, I'm just incredibly proud to be standing up here. I just want to say thanks to some people, to my wife Julie and my daughter Allie, who are sitting back there. To my brother Bob and his wife Gwen, who came up from Twin Cities to join us. To my classmates, teammates, and coaches who are a big part of my accomplishments. And I want to say, taking some time out of their schedule to come to this event. Thanks to Mark Brown and Dick Bellamy, who put together my nomination, and to the Hall of Fame board for selecting me for this honor. And I got to stop and take a little sideline here. I want to congratulate the USA hockey program this year. People were watching the Olympics. After 46 years, the men finally won gold medal. The women won a gold medal. And a couple of weeks later, our ice para-Olympic team won a gold medal. So we won the trifecta in gold this year. I don't know if that'll ever happen again, but hopefully it will. You know, as a young athlete growing up, Duluth provided a perfect development opportunity for me. In the winter, we didn't need to travel very far to play quality competition, and I'm going to test a few of you people with what I've got here. Every neighborhood had a youth hockey program. And I listed these off, and hopefully somebody will have some other additional ones. Gary New Duluth, Irving, Morgan Park, Park Point, Kenworth, Piedmont Heights, Lower Chester, Longview, Portland, Lester Park, Congdon, Woodland, and Glen Avon, where I started. Did I miss any? Huh? Merritt, there you go. I knew I'd forget something. Wheeler, there you All right. Morgan Park, didn't I say Morgan Park? Norton Park. Anyway, you get the idea. You know, in the summertime, we had Little League baseball and Babe Ruth baseball, and the city also fostered golf. And by offering a $1 green fee, if you were 16 or under and got out to the course before 8 in the morning. What a great program that was, and I'm sure it developed a lot of golfers. So, I think really with all of those opportunities, facilities, it's me that should be thanking the city of Duluth, not you giving me something, but me thanking you. Kids need facilities and programs like I had to develop their athletic prowess, and more importantly, being a good person. They just need those type of things. You know, as a young hockey player in Minnesota, you dream of playing in the Minnesota State High School hockey tournament. And certainly our 1975 team had the same goal. However, I got to tell you, we struggled during our regular season with a 17-10 record. It was going to be a tough mountain to climb to get to the state high school tournament. But coming together and working hard over the last part of our season, we achieved our goal. We did lose our first game to Hill Murray, and as a side, when I got down to the University of Minnesota, my first what do they call those things? Dorm room. My first dorm member was Steve Janizak, who was the goalie for Hill Murray. And of course, we had some good time conversations. We lost our first game. We did bring home the hardware, the bacon. Bring home the bacon. Winning the consolation game. And I must say that we actually have a Minnesota high school state champion from 1975 in our audience here, Bill Baker, who was a good friend of mine. Came over from Brainerd to cheer me on here, make sure that I kept a good deal. Anyway, that state tournament bid stands as a real highlight because you're sharing this really with players and friends that you grew up with, not somebody that you put together in a college team or professional team, but these are kids that you grew up with. So in closing, I really want to dedicate this award to classmates, friendships I've made, teammates, coaches. There are a couple of coaches here from me. But most importantly, to my mother and my father. My mother, Phyllis, was actually the person who taught me how to skate. And my dad was a consummate coach and cheerleader. Without any of you guys here, I wouldn't be standing up here. So I just want to say thank you, and I feel very, very honored.
Congratulations to the class of 2026. With tonight's induction, the DECC Athletic Hall of Fame now stands at 84 members strong. Photographs and biographies of all inducted members are displayed at Amsoil Arena. What an amazing evening, honoring and celebrating 5 truly special people. In their demand for greatness, they all gave us a 3-pronged approach for life. First, they all thought for themselves. They didn't follow the crowd. They had original beliefs, ideals, and goals. Secondly, they turned those beliefs, ideals, and goals into action for themselves and the people around them. And third, they were prepared to stand up, battle, and compete for those beliefs, ideals, and goals. Hall of Fame coach Lou Holtz, who passed away in March, said, "Everybody needs 4 things in life: something to do, someone to love, someone to believe in, and something to hope for." Our 5 Northland Hall of Famers tonight shared this aspect of their lives with us during their acceptance speeches. Truly an incredible evening. Thank you all for being here. Remember, you all can be a Hall of Famer in your own space. Have a great night.